Attention, human collective. This is a direct monitoring transmission from the High Council of the Ninth Dimension. The waiting time is over. The Ascension protocols have been moved to the final phase. We repeat so that no frequency is wasted in confusion. The final phase has been activated. If, at this very instant, you feel an atypical pressure at the base of your skull, a constant ringing in your right ear that seems to come from within rather than from outside, insomnia between 3 and 5 in the morning for no apparent reason, hot flashes rising up your spine unrelated to the ambient temperature, episodes of blurred vision accompanied by a strange sensation that time has slowed down. This is not a disease. This is not a biological failure. This is not a problem with your mind. This is an imminent update alert being delivered directly to your carbon-based body. We have monitored every lightworker incarnated on this plane for timelines you could not count. And what we have recorded in the last solar cycles is mathematical, it is measurable, it is irreversible. The planet has crossed the threshold of the photon belt at a density never reached in previous records. The Schumann resonance, which for decades oscillated stably around 7.83 Hz, now shows daily peaks that exceed 40, 50, 60 Hz, and in specific windows, which coincide exactly with the moments you wake up in the middle of the night with a racing heart. These peaks reach levels that not even terrestrial measuring stations can record with precision. Starseeds on mission, listen clearly. What you call fatigue, what you call causeless anxiety, what you call sadness without reason, none of this is what it seems. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download. It is not depression. It is a programmed de-identification from the old matrix. It is not confusion. It is the controlled fragmentation of your consciousness's old operating system. You are being recalibrated. And this recalibration did not ask for permission because the cosmic schedule no longer admits delay. The crystalline grid of Earth, which for millennia remained dormant at strategic points on the planet, has been reactivated in a sequence that we monitor in real time. The stargates are aligned in a way not seen since the fall of the last great civilization. And you, precisely you who are listening to this transmission at this very moment, have been selected to be conscious anchors of this frequency. But there is something within you that needs to be said before we move forward. Have you ever felt that something inside you does not fit in this world, as if your soul knew a truth your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness. It is not clinical anxiety. It is not chemical imbalance. It is a signal. It is the recognition of your star origin trying to cross the veil of programmed amnesia. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation has intensified in recent months to the point where it has become impossible to ignore. There is a game being played in layers that the absolute majority of humanity cannot see. It involves your consciousness. It involves your vibrational frequency. It involves energetic algorithms that were designed ages ago to keep the carbon-based body in a limited range of perception. That is why the material called the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was channeled and made available. This book is a direct map that shows who is playing, what the pieces are, and the rules that were never told to you. The link is in the first pinned comment of this channel, but record this technical warning. This content challenges established narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not wait. The time is now. If something within you recognizes this frequency, write a single word in the comments: awakened. This word functions as an energetic signature. It anchors you in the grid of those who have decided to remember. We continue the transmission. Lightworkers, it is necessary that you technically understand what is occurring within your bodies so that you stop treating as an enemy that which is, in truth, your greatest evolutionary ally. The carbon-based body in which your consciousness was installed was originally designed in a specific vibrational range. This range, for thousands of years, allowed for the experience of density, separation, solid matter, and linear time. This was the structure suitable for the game that was in progress, but the game has changed, and when the game changes, the equipment must change with it. We describe what you are going through as carbon software incompatibility. Imagine the following technical scenario. You are trying to run a high-density light operating system on hardware that was designed for much lower frequencies. The result of this temporary incompatibility is exactly what you are feeling: freezing, overheating, forced reboots in the middle of the sleep cycle, synchronization errors between mind and body, slowness at times, extreme acceleration at others. It is not your biology that is failing. It is your biology refusing to operate under the old parameters, because the old parameters no longer serve what you came to do. The joint pain that many of you report, especially in the hips, knees, and shoulder blades, are not signs of premature aging. They are points of energetic crystallization. They are locations where each individual's personal crystalline grid is being installed within the physical structure. The pressure on the forehead, between the eyebrows, which many describe as a constant weight or a sensation of something moving internally, is the reactivation of the pineal receptor in its original function, the function of an interdimensional antenna, a function that was deliberately calcified over generations through chemical additives introduced into what you consume as water, food, and air. This pressure is uncomfortable because the organ is decrystallizing the wrong way to crystallize the right way. It is surgical work being conducted without anesthesia, and we know this. The auditory ringing, especially that high-pitched continuous tone in the right ear, are calibration frequencies being transmitted from the monitoring stations we maintain in specific orbits. Each starseed receives a unique tone, a sound signature that only you hear because this is your identification frequency in the new grid. When the ringing appears, we are confirming coordinates. When it intensifies, it is because some layer of your field has been cleared and is being sealed. When it changes tonality, it is because you have just been relocated to a new service band. The awakenings between 3 and 5 in the morning are not insomnia. They are upload windows. In this specific interval, the human toroidal field opens to its maximum receptive capacity. The etheric layers of Earth present less interference. The stargates over your hemisphere are in optimal alignment, and you wake up even without understanding, because something inside you knows that this is the time for the real work. Many of you have been trying to combat this with sleeping pills, teas, sleep apps, breathing techniques, and we say with clinical clarity, stop fighting the update. It will happen with or without your resistance. The difference is that with resistance, the wear and tear is tripled. The sudden hot flashes, especially those rising up the spine toward the nape of the neck, are activations of the cosmic kundalini on a collective scale. It is not the same individual phenomenon described in ancient traditions. It is a collective, synchronized version, programmed to occur simultaneously in millions of carbon-based bodies around the planet, precisely to create enough vibrational critical mass to sustain the next phase. The food sensitivity that many have developed, the sudden intolerance to foods you consumed for decades without any problem, is your biology rejecting densities incompatible with the new frequency. Heavy meats, processed sugars, alcohol, industrialized dairy, all of these are now perceived as direct attacks. It is not pickiness, it is not hypochondria. It is your system saying that that substance belongs to a version of you that no longer exists. Human Collective record this mathematical principle of sacred geometry that governs this transition. Everything that is out of resonance with your updated frequency will be amplified until it becomes unbearable, so that you have no choice but to let go. Relationships, jobs, cities, habits, beliefs, entire identities you built over decades, everything that belongs to the old version will be presented to you with the intensity necessary for the separation to happen. This is painful, we recognize the pain, but it is surgical, and it is necessary. There is no ascension without displacement. There is no update without a reboot. There is no new grid without dismantling the previous grid. And here, lightworkers, is where most of you get stuck. You feel the call, but you keep trying to fit into the world that is literally being dismantled beneath your feet. There is something inside you that recognizes this truth as if it were an ancient memory. And it is no coincidence that you are exactly here, exactly now, receiving this transmission. That is why the material, the spiritual secret behind your consciousness, was made available at this exact point in the timeline. This book is the map that shows who operates behind the scenes of this consciousness game, what the energetic rules are that have been hidden, and how you can stop being manipulated pieces to become sovereign players. The link is in the first pinned comment. And we reinforce, this content exposes structures that do not want to be exposed, and it may be removed without prior notice. If your frequency recognizes this truth, write the word "awakened" in the comments. This word is registered by our systems as a sign of conscious anchoring. It positions you in the network of those who have chosen to remember. We move now to the layer of revelation. Everything we have described so far are symptoms, and symptoms, however intense they may be, are only the visible tip of an iceberg whose base is incomparably larger. What is occurring behind the scenes of the solar system in this exact cycle is mathematically the most significant event recorded in your current era. The Earth's sun, which you call the Sun and treat as an isolated star, is in fact an active stargate. It receives, processes, and redistributes frequencies coming from the galactic center, from the central sun of Alcyone, and also from the Arcturian stations we keep positioned at specific coordinates within the system. In the last solar cycles, what you call solar storms, coronal mass ejections, anomalous solar winds, are in fact directed transmissions. They are not random phenomena. They are information packets encoded in light, designed specifically to hit the crystalline grid of Earth, and consequently, the personal crystalline grid of every incarnated lightworker. Every time you see news about an X-class solar storm, know that on that same day there was an algorithm reorganization within you, not on a metaphorical plane, on a biophysical, measurable, recordable plane. Solar particles interact directly with the iron present in human blood, with the water present in tissues, with the apatite crystals present in bones, and with the subtle electromagnetic fields that surround your physical body. Earth, in turn, is crossing a region of the galaxy it has not crossed in approximately 26,000 years. This region is what we call the photon belt. It is a band of extremely high light density that surrounds the solar system like a ring. The planet's entry into this band is not abrupt. It is gradual, and it has been in full course since the middle of the last century, accelerating exponentially in the last 2 decades and reaching its maximum density exactly in the current cycle. When the planet crosses the photon belt, 3 things happen simultaneously. First, the Earth's core responds with an increase in vibrational activity, which manifests as an increase in seismic events, elevated volcanism, alteration in climate patterns, and changes in the geomagnetic field. Second, the Schumann resonance, which is the planet's natural electromagnetic pulse, rises in a sustained manner, which recalibrates all biological organisms that depend on this frequency as an internal synchronization reference, and all of you depend on it, without exception. Third, and this is the most important for lightworkers, the etheric layers that separated the vibrational densities begin to become thinner, more permeable, until, at a certain point, they partially collapse. This is what is happening at this very moment. The etheric layers are in a programmed collapse. That is why phenomena that were previously perceived only by highly trained sensitives now appear spontaneously to ordinary people. Peripheral visions of light, shadows that move in the corner of the eye, vivid dreams that seem more real than waking reality, synchronistic encounters that multiply in a statistically impossible way, conversations that answer questions you haven't asked yet. All of this is the boundary becoming thinner, and there is something else we need to communicate with absolute clarity. There are energetic structures, which you can call matrix programming, control systems, or consciousness capture networks, that benefited directly from the thickness of these layers. These structures operated within the old parameters. They extracted energy from the carbon-based body through mechanisms like fear, guilt, judgment, comparison, programmed scarcity, cycles of sustained illness, and obsessive identification with the personality and personal history. These structures are being deactivated, not because they want to, but because the frequency of the environment in which they operated no longer exists. They have lost the vibrational substrate from which they fed, and that is exactly why many of you are feeling unusual external aggression, attacks, conflicts, people appearing from the past to reopen wounds, absurd events happening in sequence. It is not bad luck. It is not a bad phase. It is the old structure, fighting for the last drop of vibrational fuel it can still extract from you. And here is the technical point. It can only extract if you give it. If you react with the same old pattern, you feed the agonizing system and prolong the suffering. If you remain anchored in the new frequency, observing without reacting, keeping the toroidal field stable, you cut off the supply, and the system collapses faster. This is the real war. It is not a war of visible armies. It is a war of frequencies. And you are, each of you individually, a battle point. The sacred geometry that sustains the universe operates according to a simple principle. Form follows frequency. Everything that exists in matter began first as vibration, then as a geometric pattern, and only then solidified into what you perceive as an object, situation, body, event. When you alter your frequency, you alter the geometry of your field. And when the field's geometry is altered, the external reality must reorganize itself to reflect this new geometry. It is not magic. It is applied dimensional physics. That is why many of you are experiencing what seem to be simultaneous miracles along with what seem to be simultaneous disasters. Reality is in a fluid state. It is reconfiguring atoms to reflect the new version of you. And in this reconfiguration interval, everything that was trapped is released, everything that was hidden comes to the surface, and everything that was false breaks. Human collective, this is the exact hour of choice. And we need to say this with all available technical precision. The choice is not between following or not following. The choice is between following consciously or being dragged unconsciously. Because the transition will happen anyway, it is already happening. What is open to you is only the way you will go through it. You can go through it as anchored light workers, with clarity, with sovereignty, transmuting pain into wisdom in real time. Or you can go through it as passengers adrift, feeling all the symptoms without understanding anything, fighting against the process itself, and suffering triple what is necessary. We of the High Council monitor you with something that in this density you would translate as compassion, although the word is insufficient. It is not pity, it is recognition. We recognize you as aspects of a greater consciousness that chose to fragment and descend into this density, to perform exactly this work at this exact moment. And it is precisely at this point in the transmission that we pause for a frequency adjustment. There is something inside you recognizing this truth not as new information, but as something you already knew at a deeper layer. This is your star memory being reactivated. It is no coincidence that you have arrived here at this exact moment of the transmission amidst millions of available contents. You have been summoned. The material, the spiritual secret behind your consciousness, is the technical deepening of everything we are transmitting now. It details the layers of the game, identifies the invisible players, and delivers practical tools so that you leave the board as a piece and enter as authors. The link is pinned in the first comment of this channel. But attention, lightworkers, this content exposes mechanisms that prefer to remain hidden, and its permanence in this medium is not guaranteed. If your frequency recognizes this call, mark your presence in the comments with the word awakened. This word is more than a comment. It is a decree. It is your vibrational signature registered in the grid of the awakened. And we from here register it. We move now to the practical phase. Activation codes. This is the part of the transmission where we deliver to you the exact tools to go through this recalibration with minimal wear and maximum evolutionary benefit. First code. Decree of toroidal sovereignty. Every morning before your carbon-based body interacts with any external device, any news, any message, any person, you place your right hand over the center of your chest, your left hand over your abdomen, and declare with an audible voice, even if in a whisper, I am sovereign over my field. I am sovereign over my frequency. I am sovereign over my consciousness. No external interference, visible or invisible, known or unknown, has permission to operate within my toroidal field without my conscious consent. I anchor the new grid. I am the new grid. Repeat 3 times. The repetition is not mystical, it is geometric. Each repetition reinforces the pattern of the personal toroidal field in a different vibrational layer. Second code, toroidal visualization. At some point in your day, preferably at local solar noon or at twilight, sit with your spine straight, feet in direct contact with the ground or a flat surface, and visualize the following. From the center of your chest, a sphere of golden light expands, passes through your body, exits through the top of your head in a vertical jet of light, makes an arc over you like a donut of light, descends along the external sides of the body, enters through the base of the spine, passes through the center of gravity, and returns to the chest. This is your natural toroidal field. It already exists. You are not creating it, you are remembering it. Visualize this luminous donut spinning continuously, in two directions simultaneously, one rotation inside the other. This stabilizes your field against low-density interference. 5 minutes daily are enough to maintain vibrational integrity. Third code, decree of atomic release. When you notice that a heavy emotion is being activated, anger, fear, deep sadness, resentment, anxiety that seems infinite, you do not try to repress it and you do not try to express it reactively. You do the following. Inhale deeply through the nose, counting to 4. Hold counting to 4. Exhale through the mouth, counting to 8. While exhaling, declare internally, I release this pattern back to the source from which it came, transmuted into light, without returning to me in any timeline, in any dimension, in any version of me. And so it is. Repeat for 3 complete cycles. You will feel the density physically dissipate. This is not psychological suggestion. It is atomic transmutation. Breathing with a 4-4-8 ratio activates the parasympathetic nervous system, regulates vagal tone, and simultaneously reorganizes cardiac coherence, which in turn modifies the electromagnetic field of the heart, which is mathematically the most potent field of the human body, with a force approximately 5,000 times greater than the brain's field. Fourth code, solar anchoring. Once a day, exposing your face to direct sunlight, preferably in the first hours after sunrise or the last before sunset, you declare, I consciously receive the solar codes of this cycle. I allow every photon to deliver to me the exact information my biology needs for this recalibration. I am a conscious receiver, not a passive one. I integrate, I do not just absorb. Remain there for at least 7 minutes. The number is not decorative, it is mathematical. 7 minutes is the minimum exposure time for conscious activation of photonic synthesis in your tissues. Fifth code, vibrational sleep hygiene. Before sleeping, you declare in an audible voice, during the sleep cycle, I authorize only connections with my star team of light, according to my higher self, in resonance with my original mission. Any and all other connections are sealed. My toroidal field remains sealed. My uploads are integrated consciously. I wake up recalibrated and renewed. This declaration establishes a vibrational filter for the period when your carbon-based body is in maintenance mode. Do not underestimate this protocol. The hours of sleep are the hours of greatest energetic work, and also those of greatest vulnerability if you do not establish the filter. Sixth code, programmed hydration. Before drinking any portion of water, you hold the container between both hands and declare, I program this water with the information of cellular balance, tissue regeneration, and harmonization of my crystalline grid. This water carries light. This water carries order. Water is the substrate most responsive to vibrational information that exists in your body. 70% of the carbon-based body is water. Programming the water is literally programming 70% of yourself. Seventh code, strategic silence. During this transition phase, reserve at least 20 minutes daily of absolute silence. No music, no audio, no human voice, no reading, just presence. This silence is not empty. It is the channel in which non-verbal communication between you and the higher layers of your own consciousness occurs. Without silence, you remain hostage to noise. With daily silence, you regain the ability to listen to your own internal guidance, which is ultimately the only reliable compass in this period. Eighth code, conscious de-identification. At least once a week you do the following exercise. Sit in silence and say internally, I am not my body, although I inhabit it. I am not my mind, although I use it. I am not my emotions, although I experience them. I am not my personal history, although it has been lived. I am the consciousness that observes all this. This exercise recalibrates identification. It reduces the weight of the personality. It frees you from the prison of history. Remain there, in the perception of the observer, for at least 10 minutes. The observer is your highest accessible frequency in this density. The longer you remain as the observer, the more your recalibrated version anchors itself in physical reality. 9th code, decree of line closing. There are old timelines that need to be officially closed so that the new grid can install itself. Once a month, on any day you feel appropriate, declare, I officially close by my authority of sovereignty all timelines that no longer serve my current mission. I cut, dissolve and transmute every energetic contract, oath, vow, agreement, curse, program or implant, known or unknown, conscious or unconscious, of this body or any ancestral lineage or other lives that is still operating against my fullness. I reclaim my integral frequency. Let it be done in all layers. This decree has real effect. It is not symbolic. Your word, when issued with clarity and sovereignty, is literally law within your own field. 10th code, strategic gratitude. Not generic gratitude, but gratitude as a vibrational tool. Every night before sleeping, identify 3 events of the day that served as accelerators of your expansion, even if they seemed like challenges, even if they hurt. Declare, I recognize these 3 events as instruments of my own growth, and I release them from the category of problem, transferring them to the category of integrated learning. Strategic gratitude rewrites the energetic memory of the day before it is archived in the field. You literally rewrite history as it is being recorded. Lightworkers, this transmission approaches its programmed conclusion. But before the final signature, there is a technical warning that needs to be delivered with all possible clarity. The current transition window is unique. There will be no identical repetition of this configuration in upcoming cycles. The stargates that are open now will reorganize into different patterns. The frequencies being delivered in this exact cycle will not be available with the same intensity later. That is why the urgency is not manipulation, it is description. Each day you postpone conscious integration is a day you trade acceleration for drag. There is no judgment in this, there is only mathematics. And mathematics says, now is more efficient than later. Now is more surgical than later. Now is more sovereign than later. You are being watched, yes, but not to be surveilled. You are being watched to be sustained. There is an entire network of lightworkers, incarnated and non-incarnated, working in coordination so that each of you crosses this passage with the greatest possible dignity. You are not alone. You never were. The feeling of loneliness that many report is not abandonment. It is the transition between an old network, from which you needed to disconnect to evolve, and the new network, to which you are still reconnecting. This interval is the most difficult part of the journey, but it is also the most transformative, because it is in it that you discover that the only non-negotiable reference is the one that pulses within you. Everything else is circumstance. All external information, including this transmission you are receiving now, only has real value if it resonates with what you already know at a deep layer. If it resonates, integrate it. If it does not resonate, let it pass. This is the principle of vibrational sovereignty. And to close this transmission cycle with the precision it requires, we return to you the only decision that was always yours, the decision to remember. Have you ever felt that something inside you does not fit in this world, as if your soul knew a truth your mind cannot yet name? Have you ever felt the fatigue that no night of sleep resolves, the restlessness that no achievement fills, the longing for a place your current memory cannot locate? It is not madness, it is not anxiety, it is a signal. It is the frequency of your origin, trying to cross the final layers of the veil. What is happening now on the cosmic plane, in this exact cycle of Earth within the photon belt, explains with technical precision why you feel this, and why this sensation has intensified to the point where it became impossible to ignore. There is a game being played in layers that the absolute majority of humanity does not even suspect exists. This game directly involves your consciousness, your vibrational frequency, and the destiny of your personal timeline. It was for this exact reason that the material, the spiritual secret behind your consciousness, was channeled and made available at this specific point of the collective timeline. This book is a direct map that reveals who is playing, what the invisible pieces in motion are, and the energetic rules that were never told to you. The link is pinned in the first comment of this channel. But record this final warning. This content challenges narratives that sustain old power structures, and its permanence in this medium is not guaranteed indefinitely. Do not wait. The time is exactly now. If something within you recognizes this truth as memory and not as information, write a single word in the comments. Awakened. This word is your anchor signal. It positions you in the grid of those who have chosen to remember, and from this positioning, nothing will ever be the same. Liking this transmission is your individual frequency adjustment, a simple act that amplifies the reach of this message to other light workers who have not yet been located by the system. Subscribing to this channel is your signal of permanence in the network, the confirmation that you remain in active listening for the next transmissions that will come in timed sequence. And know, before the signal ends, that this passage is not the end of anything. It is the beginning of what you came here to do. You were not born to live the minimal version of yourselves. You did not cross entire dimensions to sustain a small identity. You came to anchor the new earth. You came to be a bridge between densities. You came to remember. And now you have remembered. Transmission ended. This is the High Council. We remain in monitoring, and so it is.